Hello, welcome to Laura's Painted Minis. I'm Laura, and tonight we're working on snake scales. If you were here on Monday, you'll remember that we were priming this guy, and I was able to get a good base coat on him for the most part, and even get started on the scales. So this is just the first, or rather second shadow layered up on him, and then I kind of did a little quick splotchy pattern on this. I'll eventually do a glaze over it and try and make it look like it's shedding its skin, because that's what it looks like to me. And yeah, there's someone else who agrees with me that I was talking with on Facebook. So we're going to continue doing the first shadow onto this half of the Mr. Serpent Keen guy. And I started with jungle moss and am now mixing in some marine teal to make it that blue-green look. This is another mini that I will be using in a one-shot, and it's actually a week from this weekend that I'll be doing that. A whole weekend. Not this coming weekend, but the next weekend, the very end of August. I've got pretty much everything really put together. I need to quick reread through a little more thoroughly to write down, just jots down some notes on the pre-made one-shot adventures that I had bought, just to make sure I have an understanding on how I'm running it. Yeah. And if there's any, and be able, that way I can ask my husband, who's a little more experienced, or look things up, even if it's a general thing. I don't know if this since they're, I mean, it is Room Foundry, so, and I believe they're decently established. I know I've heard of them before. I don't remember why. have had a busy week so far because I had a dental appointment yesterday. And also am trying to get things set up on our porch so that it can be like safe to let our son kind of go out and me stay inside. Um, just like minimal supervision, basically. 'Cause we've got a window that looks right out on the porch. So, and then there's a kitchen window that, like, if I lean um, to the right enough, I can see like a third of the porch. It would definitely be one of those things where I'm gonna be maybe, well, not maybe. I'm probably gonna be doing dishes so that I am still like always within a second eye shot. It's unfortunate that our that window that looks out onto the porch, there's no screen on it. Otherwise, I could also open it and then have also um, be able to just hear him also. But I mean, I grew up where I was at a babysitter's house and it was like a group of kids in her backyard. And I mean, there was a fence in the back, but her driveway wasn't enclosed or anything. But I mean, I know there was a similar thing where she had a kitchen window, actually, a couple kitchen windows that looked out on the entire thing, or entire area, pretty much. And he's of an age that, like, all I've got to do really is just create some barriers. But I mean, yeah, he is still young enough that he needs those barriers. I can't necessarily trust him to just say, hey, don't leave the porch or don't run into the street. uh, or watch out for cars. He'll watch out for cars and possibly run towards them, is the problem. But that's a almost 3-year-old for you. Hey there, Necrotomb. So yeah, I've been busy kind of getting some things set up out on the porch to make it not just safe for him, but also fun for him. So we got a water table for him that comes with some toys, but it some the annoying thing about it is just putting it together 'cause they didn't have like pre-drilled holes. Um, they just have you basically manually drill the holes as you put the screw into the plastic. Um, and so like every single screw is like an arm workout. So when my husband finally finished up the stuff he was working on uh, to help with all of that because we got a baby gate that was just like a tension, one of those tension baby gates. But then first time I like set it up to just kind of get it in the general ballpark of how wide I'd need it, I realized that our deck didn't have two boards or two posts that were directly across from each other. So my husband had to he basically got some wood or something and extended one side so that it would uh, be directly across. And then we ran into the problem where the posts were not like vertically level, and so the bottom uh, pegs of the tension baby gate weren't touching the posts at all. So you could basically just, if you fell or pushed on the bottom, it basically kind of swung out. Which I mean, there was another post that it would run into, and it wouldn't fully swing out, but still wasn't safe. So then he had to do some more work on that, and then it also meant uh, having to repaint those posts because he had to cut into one of them at least. So it's been definitely more of a project than we anticipated. Okay. Yeah, I think there's part of this that actually is rock still or something. That's definitely not part of the snake. Same time. I think it just got a little messed up in the print there. Just looks a little funky. Oops. See. Okay, that's starting to get to the underbelly. Um, Scales. Kind of like he's got kind of like these dragon-like scales on the top and on his belly. Trying to escape on me. It was so a while back. I did a Hydra. Um, I don't remember if it was like a Reaper or Whiz Kids. Um, but I mean, it had snake scales all over it. Um, I got done with that, and I was just so done with snake scales. And I think this is the first time that I've come back to doing something with snake scales since that. So part of me is kind of curious how long ago that was. It feels like it was a very long time ago. But then I also keep realizing I've only been painting for like a few years. So it was like late 2020, which I'm sure you can guess what happened. I know I did it like when I had started moving away from washes and was trying to actually like do layering and blending and such. But there was still like a lot of uh I knew a lot more than what I was actually able to do yet still at that point in time. So I think there might have also been like a frustration of just like, I'm done with this. I mean, it still looked pretty, excuse me, still looked pretty cool when I was done with it. I think, um, it's more of color choices I made. Too. Um, I know a lot more about like color theory and than I did even just a year ago. So that's something I think I really zeroed in on. I'm not sure I like intentionally. It was like it was semi intentionally because I was just kind of purposely looking for different color schemes, trying out different color schemes. So, yeah. So, I guess in a way I learned because of trial and error, but also learned how to use like the color wheel too more. Um, I know the thing that I really am focusing on the last few months, so what I'm purposely trying to focus on getting better at is basically contrast. So making sure my shadows are dark enough, or that I just make sure that I don't lose my shadows, because I think that's actually more, for the most part, my main problem is because usually I start with the shadow, with the darkest shadow, and then sometimes I just end up um, covering too much of it up and losing it completely. But then the other thing that on the flip side is not being satisfied with just like basically a mid highlight, but to really push it. I mean, you don't necessarily need to push it to like pure white, although I guess I've heard there are some artists who do that, but yeah. I'm one of those where it's it's probably a best rule of thumb that once I get it to where I think it's enough of a highlight, and probably take it a step further. But I also can usually tell in photos, like when I'm taking in progress photos for video thumbnails or just for Instagram. And plus, once I start getting other colors and stuff highlighted on the mini too, I'm starting to learn to be able to kind of see like, well, that doesn't really look like it's even highlighted anymore. It just looks kind of there. And I think that kind of happened. I noticed that on the mammoth mount that I did, which I had already kind of thought maybe that was going to be the case. So I kind of had it in the back of my mind that I was probably going to have to go back and do some more highlighting. But I'm also not a very clean painter. I blurf and I get paint where I don't mean to get it. So this is one of those things where I have a what I call finishing touches stage, where I basically get to a point where I think, yeah, I would call this mini pretty much done. But then I look over it and just make some notes about some things that I could touch up. And there's usually something, because I have like I said, I'm not always the cleanest. Okay. Now, what I would call midtone is where we're getting started on that. Probably not going to finish all the scales with this. There are a lot of scales. I'm still waiting on that beloved shipping email from Reaper about my Bones 6. I'm getting extra excited for the I think it's Briarvale. Basically, a lot of the Fae stuff. It's not something that we've done in our D&D group. I don't know if they'd be interested in it or not. To do something with a bit more Fae involved, or even like, or yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna want to do like an adventure module after this, and I don't know how many people of the group is gonna want to keep going. That being said, I have been kind of toying with the idea that if that sort of ends up disbanding or just whatever after we if or after we finish Curse of Strahd, then maybe I would DM it for a group. easy thing for me to do would be to kind of actually take a novel that I've been like slowly writing just as kind of a hobby and make that into a campaign. So I've already got kind of a world pretty well built in mind. I even played around with like free map making stuff online to just basically create a map of the world. And I think it fit in really well with like D&D because I've got I've got the typical elves and humans, and there's orcs or sort of orc type. Um, and then I have a race that's like kind of more of a basically kind of crossing like halfling and dwarfs. And then I've got tiger folk. There's dragons. There's the uh, Trekkie in me that's wanting to be like just do a campaign where they're basically like on, well, my favorite Star Trek Voyager. And yeah, you lost track where it was. And basically just fly around space and have encounters and just trying like in the actual show of Star Trek Voyager, just trying to get back home basically because something horrible went really wrong. That would be fun. But I don't know how many people I know would actually be interested in that. Maybe there'd be more people than I think would be interested in it. I don't know. started recently going back through the various Marvel movies and such. And eventually that I'll get through the TV, probably go through the TV shows too. Um, but yeah, watching them again and going through it like in a chronological, which is it's nice having Disney Plus for that because they just have a lineup there that you can just follow along. Kind of wish it worked like a playlist because then I could just have like push next and it would play the next one in line. But I have to keep kind of going back to that after I finish one, going back to that screen that actually has them listed. I just finished the first Avengers movie. And I believe the next in chronological order is Thor 2. Which actually that I think is one of my favorite Thors, or the favorite among the Thor movies. I was never a fan of the first one because I'm not a fan of Thor and his origin story. And also the makeup they had for him was it just always throws me off. They went completely away from it after that movie, and I'm glad they did because it just would have kept bothering me because it was just like they had him with like all bleach blonde hair as well as like his eyebrows were that. And it just didn't look right. And I even know people who are like actually bleach blonde and have like bleach blonde facial hair. So that I mean it's not like it's that. It just looked weird on on him. Didn't look right. So I think that was a kind of a fail in the costuming makeup department there. I'm kind of assuming I'm not the only one who thought that that was not great since like all the rest of the movies that he's in, it's not bleach blonde hair all over. Ooh. we're in there. I might stop there tonight because we're getting close to the hour mark. So we got to the mid-tone on most of the snake, except for this part. And yeah, looking pretty good. Some of this I kind of was some experimenting on how high to bring it up. I might. At first I thought maybe it was too much, but I think I'll probably end up bringing it up more. But and then these are actually going to be lighter than the body. And it will also have some of the marine teal. I mean, for those, I'm gonna use this triad, but then just put marine teal in them to kind of get that blue green, and carry that across. And then I've got some purple that I'm gonna lighten up tan skin for the mouth. This wicked tongue. So I'll probably do orange for the eyes, because then that would easily play into a secondary triad, be orange, green, and purple. The secondary, all 3 secondary colors. Yeah. I am, even though I am busy with these minis, been working hard on these for one shots, I am taking commissions. So if you are liking my work, how I paint and stuff, you can give me a message through whatever socials that you can find me on. I can put those up here quick. You can also check out the Fiverr link there, and that will take you directly to some what they call gigs, if you're not familiar with Fiverr. They're pre-made with 3 different tiers of basically a very basic paint job all the way up to I pull out all the stops. And then each one I've kind of given an estimate on how long it would take me to do, like how many days, and then what I think would be a good price level for my experience and abilities and such. So amount, and as well as just the amount of time that I'd be putting into anything. So yeah, you can give those a look over and see if you think that you want to pursue commission from me. That would be awesome. I'd love to. Or you can just hit the subscribe button on my Twitch channel. That'll keep the channel going. Kind of just seeing what avenue is gonna start making me money, I guess, or be the best avenue for me to make money. So Patreon is another thing that I've got going right now. So we're seeing, and YouTube. So it's a little bit of an experiment for me right now. I'm just figuring out what works. So yeah. With that, I hope you guys have a good weekend. Maybe get some painting done. And I will see you Monday at 1:15 p.m. Central Time. All right. Bye-bye.